Dear students, how are you? I hope you are keeping well and safe. Today, you know that the pandemic disease COVID-19 has spread all over the world, and it is uh, spreading day by day the velocity of this disease. So, you should keep social distance and maintain all kinds of health rules. So dear students, now at first I introduce myself. I am Ajij, assistant English teacher, Alipur Indian Secondary School, Alipur Satya. Dear learners, in my previous class I tried to teach changing sentence, that means complex to simple, and today I am going to teach you about the same kind of item, that means transformation, and our today's topic is complex to compound. Dear learner, you know that complex sentence is greater sentence, and there are much more clauses are arranged in this sentence, and also compound sentence has too many clauses, and this sentence is connected with the coordinating conjunction, whereas complex sentence is connected with subordinating conjunction. Now today I am going to convince you, going to tell you about some rules or items from complex to compound. Our first rule is as, since, or when. It indicates actually time of something, and if we want to change complex to compound based on this rule, such as when, since, and as, then at first I am going to give an example. That means when he Dear students, look at this sentence. When he read a book, he knew the matter. This is a complex sentence because there are two clauses, such as when he read a book, this is subordinate clause, and he knew the matter, this is principal clause, and these two clauses are arranged in the complex sentence. And if we want to send this sentence into compound, next we have to send some items of this sentence, such as we have to demolish the conjunction of subordinating. Subordinating conjunction will be demolished from this sentence, and except this there will be no sense. So I may write he read a book, and then we have to join a conjunction in the middle of the sentence. The middle of the sentence is we should add here and he knew the matter. This is the first rule of compound sentence from complex one. So, dear learner, when we see the complex sentence adding as, since, or when, in this sense or in this sentence, we should use the conjunction and we must demolish or discard the subordinating conjunction as, since, when. Okay, dear learner, our next item is, now I am going to give an example of Another type of complex sentence, such as though she tried hard and soul, she could not get GPA 5. This is complex sentence, dear learner. You have noticed, because the sentence starts with conjunction though. This is also subordinating conjunction, and this type of conjunction indicates some item. That means though she tried heart and soul, because she tried heart and soul, but she could not get the GPA. It indicates the sense of complex sentence. So this type of sentence should be changed into compound in such a way. At first, we have to change the conjunction though, and instead of though, we must use but in the middle of the sentence. Okay, dear learners, so we can write she tried heart and soul, but she could not GPA 5. Okay, dear learners, because this sentence indicates concession of doing something, the person does the work accordingly, but she cannot or he cannot be successful in this area. So this sentence indicates concession, and in this case we may use the conjunction but. This is coordinating conjunction, and if we say the complex sentence adding with though although may be added in the middle of the sentence sometimes, but usually it sits at the very first level, very first position of the sentence. So when we see any complex sentence with though, although, or even though, then we have to change the sentence into compound using but in the middle of the sentence. Okay, dear learner. And next I am going to give an example of another item of complex sentence that you see the blackboard. If you work hard, you will prosper in life. Dear learners, this is also another example of complex sentence. And we have to change the complex sentence into compound. Dear learner, you have noticed that this sentence starts with if. If indicates the condition of doing the activity. When a doer or a person gives some condition of doing activity, then he or she can use the conjunction if. If indicates the condition of something. Okay, dear learner, and if we see the complex sentence using if, and in this case when we go to change the sentence into compound one, we must remind that at first we have to demolish or vanish the conjunction if and at the same time the subject also. So I can discard here the conjunction if and the subject if, and except these two words I should use the verb. Otherwise the sentence will be started with main verb. Okay, dear learner, main verb what? So I may write here what hard, and you should add the conjunction and in the middle of the sentence. So I may write here and the principal clause you will proselyte this is principal clause, and if you work hard this is subordinate clause, and subordinate clause will be changed but principal clause will not be changed. This clause will be unchanged for it. Okay, dear learner. So I can write here you will prosper in life. Have you understood, dear learner? So when we face any complex sentence using if conjunction, this is subordinate conjunction also, and this sentence must be changed into compound inclusive. At first we have to discard conjunction if and at the same time subject, and instead of these two words we may write the main verb, here main verb work and work hard, and we may use conjunction or coordinating conjunction and in the middle of the sentence, okay, or in the middle of the two clauses. As if you work hard it is one clause and other clause is you will prosper in life, so there are two clauses in complex sentence, and in the changing of compound sentence we must use coordinating conjunction and in the middle of the two clauses of compound sentence. Okay, dear learner. So this is a very important rule of complex compound in SSC level, and it is also helpful to the students of HSC students. Okay, dear learner. Now I am going to write another example of complex sentence. If you do not you will not succeed in life. Dear learner, I hope you have observed my previous example. In my previous example, I used if plus subject, but here I use another auxiliary verb do not, because this clause is negative. This clause is negative. This clause is also negative, but it is not the matter. Our matter is here, because this is complex sentence and this clause is subordinate clause. If subordinate clause indicates negative sense in the sense of if conjunction, then we have to use some rules, such as at first I have to discard the conjunction E from E to negative word. These all items will be vanished, will be discarded from this function. And what is the rest one? The rest one is what. Here also what will be set to complete the sense, and we may write here war card. War card. This is the same way of doing compound. Okay, but what can we use in the middle of the two clauses? I may use here war. Okay, dear learner, you must remind that you must think that you have to use war in the middle of the two clauses in case of if conjunction. And if conjunction indicates the negative sense of the clause, then we must use war in the middle of the two clauses. And what will be the next clause? The next clause will be the same, because principal clause will not be changed here. Okay, dear learner, then you write here, you will not succeed in life. Succeed in life. So, dear learners, we have seen that there are two rules of if conjunction. The first rule is if indicates affirmative sense or positive sense, and in the second rule, if indicates negative sense. In the sense of positive sense, there is also a rule, and in the case of negative sense, there is also another type of rule of complex to compound sentence. So, dear learner, these items are very important for the SSC level students, and I hope you will practice these items more and more staying at home. Okay, dear learners, and next I am going to give another example, such as he is so ill that he cannot move. Dear learner, this is another example of complex sentence. He is so ill that he cannot move. This sentence indicates cause of action, because he is ill, so he cannot move. This is the cause. His cause is ill, so he cannot move. This is the outcome of his cause. And in this sense, we may change the sentence into compound in such a way that we can write here, he is, we must write he is very instead of so. Instead of so, we may write very ill, and we must discard that, and in lieu of that, we must use here and he cannot move. Okay, dear learner, there is a simple changing of from complex to compound with so that. Instead of so, we may write very, and instead of that, we may write can. Okay, dear learner. So, he is very ill and he cannot move. And in this case, we must also we can also use so and so. But it's not very emergency. If we write here, it's okay. So the sentence will be, he is very ill and he cannot move. This is right. So I am going to give another example of complex sentence, such as we eat so that we may live. We eat so that we may live. This is another example of complex sentence using so that. This is a convention of subordinating convention, so that, and so that indicates the purpose of doing any action. And in this sentence we have used so that, and in this case when we go to change complex sentence into compound one, we must write down before so that. So we may write here, we eat. Sorry. We may write subject, and after subject we have to write want to, wanted to, according to the tense. If the tense is present tense, so we may write want to or wants to after the subject. And if the first clause indicates past tense, we must write wanted to. Okay, dear learner. And we wanted to, and then we have to discard the convention so that at the same time we may discard the auxiliary verb. This is model auxiliary may. We also discuss this item, and we may write the verb main verb. So live is main verb. So we may write live. We want to live, and so in the middle of the clause, and so. Okay, and so, and then we have to use the subject again. We subject we also be used, and then we must use the first verb. First verb is eat, and second verb is live. So we may write here eat. Okay, dear learners, there is something difficulty in this changing of sentence, because there are some difficult items from complex to compound, because all kinds of students may not understand the item at the very first level. So again I am going to convince the students about this rule. When complex sentence is used, complex sentence is formed with so that this sentence indicates the purpose of doing any activity. And in this case, when you want to change the complex sentence into compound one, in that case we must use want to or wants to or wanted to after the subject, and then we have to take the second verb, not only the first verb, second verb, the main verb, not the auxiliary verb. In the last class there may be an auxiliary verb or modal auxiliary verb, and we must keep in mind that we have to discard the modal auxiliary verb, and we have to write the main verb, and in the middle of the sentence we must use and so. Okay, and so. And again we have to use the first subject. First subject is we, and in the second position we also use this subject, and at the same time the verb will be written. Okay, dear learners, that's all from me today. I hope I am trying to convince you the grammatical item wholeheartedly, but there may be some weakness of my teaching, so you should pardon me in this sense. And again, I will come up with another type of grammatical item. Then I hope you should always be safe from many kinds of germs and many kinds of diseases all around the world. And you know that COVID-19, the second wave of this disease has spread all over the world, including our country. So we are very concerned of this disease, and you must follow health rule and the government orders as usual. So, dear learners, keep yourself safe and sound. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Thank you.